My name is Donte, and this is my story. I was born in 1997, and my mother in the hospital, my biological mother, apparently had a lot of substances in her system at the time I was born, and I was born with those substances in me. 3 days later, she did unfortunately go to jail because of those substances. After that, I was with my biological father for about 3 years. But in those 3 years, it was just not a good environment. My biological father was into some drugs and selling of drugs and all those kinds of things. And it's me and my 2 older brothers. But around 3, I went to foster care after a babysitter called Child Protective Services on my biological father. And from there, I just bounced from house to house. Me and my brother bounced from house to house. I was left outside. I was not fed. I was not taken care of. Just people that just wanted to make a check from the state just didn't care about me. And around 3.5, 4, I went to my adopted parents, who then adopted me when I was 5 years old. And when I got there, they said I sat in the corner for months. And my adopted father finally got me after 3 months to come out and actually speak. And they showed incredible love towards me and my brother. It was a Christian household. I grew up knowing about Jesus. So my parents raised me, and about when I was 11 years old, my adopted father passed away. He was my best friend. He was my confidant. He was everything to me. Even though I had my adopted mother, he was just my everything. It was really weird because that morning we woke up and he had had a heart attack 5 years prior to this moment. He had open heart surgery, and we thought everything was good. And he woke up that morning and he sat us on the top of the stairs. And my dad was a Christian, but he never really talked to us and poured Jesus into us. It was more than my mom that did that. And he just sat at the top of the stairs and he said, "Hey, I just need you to honor your mother if something ever happens to me." And as an 11-year-old kid, you don't think that something is going to happen that day. You just think, well, Dad just is talking about Jesus. And that day we went around town and he paid like all the bills for like the next couple of months, and we got our favorite lunch and our favorite snack, and we went back home, and my dad never cleaned. That wasn't his thing. He worked, and my mom would stay at home with us, so she would clean. And so he cleaned the whole house and had us cleaning our room, which is really weird now that I look back on it. But at that moment, I was like, okay, but Dad's just cleaning, and it's just something new he's trying. And then we got a phone call from my godfather that at the time he owned a military academy, and said that a squirrel had gotten into the building and he just needed my dad's help to get the squirrel out of this office. So my dad dropped everything and we went over there. And now what I found out after he had passed away, that they were in there talking about if anything ever happens to me, talking to my godfather, and just make sure my boys are taken care of, make sure their mom is taken care of. And I didn't know none of this was going on. They just told me to sit in the car, just wait, and we'll be back. And so he's talking to my brother. You need to be a big brother to your brother. If anything ever happens to me, he goes into the office and he gets the squirrel. And my godfather was a colonel in the military, so he sat down, he finally got the squirrel. He looked at my godfather and he was like, "Here, I got it, Colonel." And then eyes rolled in the back of his head, and he just died right in front of me. And my whole world crumbled. I remember calling my mom and saying, "My dad just passed out, Daddy just passed out." And I can remember her screaming. I remember the paramedics asking me at 11 years old, like, "Why? What's wrong with your dad? Like, is he on any type of medication?" I'm like, "I just lost my dad. Like, I don't know what's going on at this current moment. Like, you got to wait till my mom gets here." And I was just traumatized. And we got to the hospital, and I remember the moment the doctor came out and said, "There's nothing else we could have done." And I remember falling to my knees and just screaming. And I just could not understand why God would take me through a traumatic season as a child and then take the one man that was the most loving, caring man to me. And from that moment, I mean, the night we got back from the hospital, I was just numb, just completely numb. I remember my brother coming and asked me if I wanted something to eat, and I said, yeah, I'll take a milkshake. And I just passed out. And then the next morning, I just didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what just happened. I know what I saw, but I know what I didn't want to believe. So I go downstairs, I'm like, Daddy, like just asking for him, like, where's my dad? Where's my dad? And he was gone. And I was, for many years, didn't trust God anymore. 11 years old, that's when you need your father. Biological parents and adopted parents, and not feeling worthy and not feeling loved and not feeling like I was enough for somebody to care to want to be my parents. And then God takes the one guy that is my parent. And even though I still had my mom, it's not the same for an 11-year-old boy. You need your father to show you how to be a husband, to show you how to be a dad. And he was a great dad for those 11 years, but those years in middle school and high school where you needed a dad. I didn't have my biological father, and he was gone. And my brothers did what they could do, but my other brother was married, and my other brother was doing whatever he was doing. And I was just angry at God. And I was like, I'm done with God. Even though I kept going to church every Sunday, even though I kept worshiping, I just didn't love God anymore. I didn't trust him. I didn't want to be involved in anything. And I told my mom, I was like, I'll go this one Sunday. And I went this one Sunday and I heard a sermon from the youth pastor at the time. And I said, okay, God. I said, I'm not having any luck with the anger that I have and the hurt and just feeling abandoned. So I'm going to give it all to you. And it didn't end there. It was a very hard road. Anytime somebody would hurt me, or I felt like I was going to be hurt, or I felt like somebody had betrayed me, I would just immediately get angry. Like I would punch doors, I would punch walls, I would just be angry just at the world. And I would make excuses. Well, I went through this, I went through that, and God left me here. And it wasn't until probably like 2018 where I finally realized, okay, I need to get some counseling. I need to really talk through the things that I'm feeling, because I have to forgive my biological parents for abandoning me. And fast forward to me being married and having kids, and my anger spilling over into that caused a lot of issues. And I just didn't want to be that dad for my kids. I didn't want to be the angry father. But being adopted gave me an outlook that I did not want my kids to never feel like they weren't loved, never feel like I was going to abandon them just because they did something wrong. And I found myself being that dad that every time my child did something wrong, that I would get angry or get upset. Why are you doing that? Just because I didn't want him to be like me. I didn't want him to be angry like I was. I think now that I have a daughter, I don't want her to see that this is what a man should be and this is how a man should treat you. And going through many years of counseling, I finally was able to release all that anger that had built up. And it was just not any counselor. You have to find a Christian, stable counselor. I still do counseling to this day. Even though we just moved here from South Carolina, I already have appointments scheduled at Impact Counseling. I have a beautiful family. I have a wife and 2 kids. Weston is 4, and then Everly is 9 months. And after everything I've been through in my life, and everything I went through as a child, and the things I learned from my parents, and the things that I didn't learn from my biological parents, we have decided to start a small group for parents, showing love to other parents that just need it, that just need a person to call in the middle of the night. Because me and my wife didn't have that. She didn't have someone that she could just talk to when I was going through whatever I was going through. And I think the small group will be able to help through that. And I've had people tell me, how are you in this space that you're in right now? How are you doing these things in life that you're doing after everything that you've been through? I should have been a drug dealer. I shouldn't be married. I shouldn't have the love I have for my kids just because of everything that I've been through. But with God, anything is possible. And He can heal you from past hurt. He can heal you from feeling abandoned. He is the one Father that will never abandon you. Visit weareimpact.com/missions for more information on all of our compassion areas and ways you can help make an impact.